it's a nightmare and a broken dream combined into this whole everything. You know, it's just, I mean, the pain is just, there's no pain like this. It just for just a little quick little check out of a shot, you know, yeah, it feels great for a little bit, but the pain you will feel does not compare. I'd do anything to go back in time and just start all over, but you can't do that. My name's Gabe. I'm 45 years old. I've lived in Portland all my life. I live in a tent right here. I've been homeless for 6 months now. Prior to that, I had my own business and a home and vehicle tools, and used to always look down upon everybody, all these tents and the homelessness, and had the kind of, why don't you get a job and get on your feet type attitude. And then it happened to me. And because of my alcoholism and heroin addiction, I sometimes made it work for a while, be able to keep a job and still use. I've had times in my life where I've been clean, little stints for a couple of years. But you know, I started using at 15 years old. Didn't really have a family, been living on the streets then, and been in prison, treatment centers, in and out, and it just seems like there's not a lot of help. I mean, they help you to an extent, but like when you get out of prison, they pretty much just kick you out the door with the clothes on your back. I worked every single day in prison, 6 days a week, but it's $1 a day, and you have to live off that. So even though years and years of hard labor work, I think I had $40 when I got out of prison. And I just wanted $40-50 to get a cell phone to get work. You know, got my stuff going, and now I'm back down here, and I just can't believe how quickly it can just destroy a person, the addiction and the drugs. And I've seen it, the trade and the way it works, and now fentanyl is a big thing. And what that is it's synthetic heroin. It's cheaper for the cartel to make because they can make it in a lab versus growing like heroin. You have to do a poppy field, and it's more lucrative for fentanyl. They can buy big bats of the chemicals, you know, from like China and whatnot, and they just cook it up in a lab, and it's super potent. And they're not getting the potency right. It's not like pharmaceutical drugs where you know how many milligrams you're taking. One day you could get a bag and you're used to doing it and it's the same consistency. Well, then you get a hot shot, and that's where, you know, they didn't mix it up well enough, and you're doing, you know, it'll kill you instantly. And luckily, you know, there's needle exchanges around here to, you know, protect from HIV and Hep C for giving people clean needles, and they give out Narcan, which will save people's life because it basically reverses a person when they're overdosing. I've saved 4 people in 2 months because of Narcan. You know, without cold, not breathing it all, turning blue, and I give them a little shot of that, and they're up and fine in 2 minutes. And it's a good thing they're finally giving that out, because before you'd have to call the paramedics and wait for them to get here, and in that time that person could die. And then the biggest thing is a lot of the people that are with that person, they don't want cops and paramedics showing up because they might have warrants, they have drugs on them, and what they'll do is just abandon the person. Maybe sometimes they might make a quick call, but usually homeless people don't have a cell phone. There's no more payphones around, and they just want to get out of here, go. But now having the Narcan on them, they can just take care of it. And it'd be nice if you could call 911 and not have the cops come. They're supposed to do that and just have the ambulance come and save the person's life. But I mean, it comes down to seconds to save a person's life. I mean, ambulance gets there, you know, 10 seconds too late, the person's dead. It's a sad thing. But that Narcan's really helping people a lot. And the worst problem is the youth getting into it. I've had several friends and family members die from it, overdoses. My mom and 3 friends that were, you know, doing great in high school. 2 uncles died from all heroin overdose, all of them. And I think it can be prevented instead of, you know, the war on drugs isn't working, and it never will, and you got to address the problem. Well, I got into meth and heroin and cocaine because I started exploring drugs, and it's usually from, you know, depression, you know, and abuse. And a person does drugs, well, it takes the pain away. But a person that's usually had a good life, they try the drugs and they don't like it. That's my experience. But if you got emotional issues, it's a temporary fix. And for me, the big lie was marijuana is horrible. It's not that bad, but I wouldn't recommend any youngsters using it. But I tried marijuana, liked it, and Then I'm like, well, they said marijuana is so horrible. Well, heroin's probably not that bad either, because they lied to me about marijuana. And then so I tried that, liked it a lot, and then tried meth, and it was horrible. It was a big difference than marijuana. And so I got into that, and I always heard about the addiction of it and the withdrawals. Didn't believe it until next thing I know, I'm vomiting. When I didn't do it for 15 hours, vomiting, defecating myself, cold, hot sweats, shaking, heart pounding, just the worst pain in the world. I mean, the worst torture ever. And all you got to do is cough up 10, 15, 20 bucks, and it all goes away. And then you feel this big, warm, loving blanket wrap around you, and you're numb, and all those problems in your life just go away. And then about 12 hours later, the pukes start, and the seizures, all of it, the withdrawals start happening, and you will do anything to make that stop. I mean, I've never been waterboarded or tortured or anything like that, but you do it to a person, they're going to give up the information. I look at it that way. This is pure torture on a person. I mean, they'll rob, they'll steal from their mom, their grandma, their friends, the store, anything just to stop that pain, the withdrawals, and then the emotional pain. And then they end up getting in trouble, and they get thrown in prison, and they want to just teach you a lesson by making you go through cold turkey, throw you in there and just let you flop around and puke all over yourself and think they'll teach you a lesson, and then you do your time and they just flick you out on the street, and next thing you know, you're more broken, even more depressed, more pain, nowhere to go. You're back and where all the drugs are, and you're gonna do it again. You're gonna get back into it, even though you know what's gonna do, but it numbs the pain. For that night, on a cold night, you will be warm if you get enough drugs and alcohol in you. It doesn't matter if you got blankets or not, because you're numb and all the pain's gone. And so how to get out of that is the big answer is a lot of help. I mean, not just sweeping it under the rug. And I get all these snide looks because I live in a tent, and on this expensive condos up here, they hate us, and they're trying so hard to sweep us away. And then it works a lot of times, and you move down there and they don't want you, and you move over here, and it's just like, where do you want me to go, And a lot of people just end up, the best place is under a freeway overpass with the rats and the trash and all that, and that's no place to live. And so it's just like, person just gets stuck in this. And you can't get a job because your whole life is focused on getting that drug, and then also you look horrible, you got sores on your face and scabs, and you're all tweaked out. Nobody wants to hire you because you're worthless, and you got to have, so most people collect cans and steal to get by. Those are the two hustles people do to make their money to get well and get their drugs. And it's called canning, 16 hours to make 30 bucks. And I was making 35, 40 bucks an hour a while ago. So I'm like, wow, all day and into the night I worked just to, get a needle in my arm. And I've gotten huge abscesses and sores and been in the hospital. I lost my chunk of my bicep. They had to cut it all out. And I'm missing most of my bicep right here because the infection got so bad. It sucks. Nobody wants this, but it's just so hard to get out of it. I mean, you're trapped. And to me, it feels like I'm in this dark hole, and I'm looking up, and I'm climbing, trying to get up. And I finally claw my way up, and I'm like reaching for that hand to help. And then I just get kicked back down, and I just fall on the ground again. And just like, please, someone help us. It sucks. This is hell. And I don't really have any family. And I got my more straight edge friends, but I stay away from them because they don't like to see me like this. So I avoid them. They don't know if I'm alive or dead. I just don't want nobody to see me like this. It's humiliating. I'm so ashamed of myself. But I just don't know how to get out of it. It's just so hard. Because, I mean, I got alcohol and heroin withdrawals, and they're deadly, especially the alcohol withdrawals. I go into seizures. I've had an ambulance pick me up because I'm like, I'm going to tough this out. I'm going to quit and take the pain. And next thing I know, the last one I was in Fred Meyer's, and I'm just, puking everywhere I go. And, got a vomit sack, and I'm toughing it out. And next thing you know, I'm on the floor. I call it doing the fish. I'm going into an alcohol seizure. And it's embarrassing because, you got to wait for the ambulance to get there, and they just throw me on the gurney and take me there. And then I get there, and I wait in the waiting. They don't pull me directly in. They put me in the waiting room, and then they keep on telling me I'm faking it. And I keep on going into seizures, and they'll pull me up in the chair, and like, you're faking it. You just want us to give you drugs. And I'm like, I'm not faking this, you know? I don't want to be going through seizures. And then finally, nurse comes out and she puts, you know, the blood pressure cup and goes, oh, this guy's in bad shape. We got to get him something. They give me a little bit of medicine and then discharge me in the morning. And then that's it. And a little bit of medicine to kind of just help me not be so nauseous. And I've gone into the hospital before in treatment centers, and they just don't last long, detoxes, and they just kind of kick you out. And next thing you know, you're back down here again. Yeah, you're clean, but not clean, you know, a few weeks. It's just not long enough. And then you're gonna use, you know, you lay with the dogs, you're gonna get fleas. I mean, when I was young, for my age, I was boxing, and that was my pride, and I was really good at it, and I was doing tournaments, and I was traveling around, and they're like, you know, you're gonna be somewhere big, quick. I could have gotten to the pros by the time I was 18, and I had lots of bouts, and then I started doing drugs, and then I quit going to the gym, and it was just pot and alcohol at first, and then it just right up to the hard stuff, and it just, you fall fast, and the last 25 years have just flown by. It's like it just, I feel like I was 18 yesterday, and just what happened. Worst thing is waking up in the morning, because at night I have dreams and I'm there and everything's good. And then I wake up and I'm cold and I'm in a tent. And I don't have a job, I don't have anything. And it's like, oh no, this nightmare's back. The dream of the happy life I wanted is gone. And I'm here. And now, and I'm sick. And I gotta go get that heroin. I gotta get a bottle of booze. And as soon as I, you know, scrounge up the money to get it and get it down, 10 hours goes by quick. I got to get $30 again. 10 hours, $30, 10 hours, $30, like that and that. And it just keeps going. I mean, I cannot even any time for myself to do anything, because it's just always, you got to get the stuff. I wish they could help you a little bit more and, you know, squash the problem. I think legalization of it and quarantining the drug problem, but like Sweden did by giving the people the drugs and doing it in a situation where you have nurses giving them the drugs, and then the cartel will not, by making it legal and giving them the heroin for free and doing it in a safe situation where they can go into a room and inject their drugs and help get counselors and try and get them off of it. And what will happen is nobody from, you know, Mexico will want to bring the drugs here because they can't sell them anymore because there's no customers, because they're getting it for free. So they're going to stop bringing the drugs to, say, Oregon, Portland, and then the new kids out here, you know, youngsters, they're not going to, you know, run into it. And you know, they're going to start with the vape pens and maybe cigarettes, and then they're going to move up to marijuana, and then they're going to like that, and then it's going to go to meth and heroin, and it's just this. But if the meth and heroin aren't on the streets, they can't get it, they'll never ruin their life. So the war on drugs is like the Vietnam War. You're never gonna win it. But that's just my opinion.